Dad once kicked me out saying I wasn't his family. Now he wants to walk me down the aisle, but this time I'll show him who my real family is. When I was 6, my world broke in two. My parents got divorced after my dad cheated on my mom with the woman who later became my stepmother. I didn't really understand what cheating meant back then, but I understood the sound of my mother crying in the kitchen. After that, I mostly lived with mom, but during holidays or long weekends, I'd go to dad's house. It wasn't bad at first, just empty, like I was visiting someone else's family. When I was 8, my half-brother Jake was born. From that moment on, my visits turned into babysitting. Every time I stayed with dad, I was expected to watch Jake, feed Jake, play with Jake. He was adorable, but I was still a kid myself. When I started high school, mom had to move abroad for work, so I had to move in with dad full-time. That's when everything really changed. My stepmother wasn't cruel. She tried to include me, but she never went against my father's word. He was the kind of man whose opinion filled every room. And in that room, I was invisible. I wasn't part of their family. I was just an extra character in someone else's story. He'd take my stepmother and Jake to amusement parks, beaches, dinners, and I'd be left home alone. Once, when I was 14, he told me we were all going to Disney World. I packed my bag 3 days early. The night before the trip, he came to my room and said, "It'll be better if this is a family moment. Jake's first big trip, you know." That was the night I stopped calling him dad. I spent that week sitting by the window, watching other families load their cars with suitcases and smiles. He never called to check on me, not once. He didn't like me hanging out with friends either. Teenagers together only cause trouble, he'd say. He'd randomly call the house phone to check if I was home. He even told a neighbor to keep an eye on me. I started feeling like a prisoner in my own home. When I turned 16, that feeling of being unwanted became normal. It was just who I was now, the extra, the outsider. 2 years later, he got a promotion and decided to celebrate with a family trip to Europe. I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd finally be included. But when I asked about tickets, he said, "We don't have enough money for 4. It'll just be us 3 this time. Jake's 10th birthday. You understand?" I didn't understand. I exploded. I told him it wasn't fair, that he never treated me like family. He yelled back, called me ungrateful and spoiled, said I lived in his house rent-free. The argument got louder until he shouted the words that still echo in my head, greater than, "You're not my daughter anymore." Then he threw me out. Literally. My clothes, my books, my backpack, all tossed onto the sidewalk. I spent that night crying at a friend's house nearby. When I came back the next morning, my stuff was still there. Some had been thrown in the trash. My stepmother handed me a few things she'd saved and whispered, "I'm sorry." That was the last time I saw him. Months later, I got accepted into an engineering program in another state. I moved away, built my life from scratch.